the power complex. You know, thinking that he's the king of everybody, bullying everybody.
Yeah.
Kicking them around.
It's kind of another theme with the bosses in this game, or at least it's implied that all the bosses in this game were once regular enemies that Bowser used the Star Rod to sort of power up. I know for a fact that the Goomba King is like that. I do think Red and Blue Goomba have unique tattle entries, but it's just like, I already tattled on them earlier, so I didn't see the point. It's not like Thousand Year Door where like they actually keep track of how many tattles you get. Like in Thousand Year Door, there's like a journal, and you can open it up, and it's just like, if you want to know the tattle for Cortez, you can look it up afterwards. And it's Paper Mario 1 doesn't do that, so it's just I just did the tattles purely for LP's sake, just because like.
Can you tattle Flavio?
Flavio's in the second game.
I know.
I mean, like, there's not like a battle tattle, but you can use Goombella next to her for a primer.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
Michael, I have a question. We're about 40 or so minutes into the session. Are you sick of my horseshit yet?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That means it's working, right?
My goal was, like, Michael's played this game a billion times. I knew he was going to talk about it in great detail and talk about and sort of sway around with his knowledge of the Paper Mario. And so my goal was to annoy you and distract you as much as possible. And I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job. But,
no. You got to step up your annoyance game.
No, like I told you, I'm working on getting my my dedicated sound card and all the microphone nonsense working, so I can be purely distracting.
Yeah,
and that's
Eric bought a new graphics card for his computer just so he could play cancer music through his microphone channel. Hold on.
You're oversimplifying this. I bought a dedicated graphics card, which it took me forever to fucking install because one of my fucking PCI port. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. But the point is, not only does it have 7.1 surround sound, not only does it support that, it has 2 microphone slots and a bunch of, it has like subwoofer like support and stuff like that. But my previous like integrated graphics card didn't have stereo mix, which is like, for those of you who don't know, allows you to basically play what audio you're hearing, like, as the audio that you're like inputting. So instead of like a microphone, it just plays whatever the system is playing. Problem is, I'm having a hard time getting that working since I have 2 other microphone devices that sort of are interfering. So if you know about that shit and you have a fix, just let me know. Email me at
www.coolguy.bigdick./gmail.outlook.end.gov. But yeah, we're gonna be checking in on Bowser real quick. I mean, I just love it.
Is that the end of the prologue?
No, we've still got a little ways to go.
Oh, that's right, okay.
Yeah, but something, because like, nowadays Mario RPGs have done the flying castle thing to death. Like, it was in Superstar Saga, it was in Dream Team and Paper Jam.
Castle bit.
But like, I don't know, something about the way they handle it in this game. Maybe it's because of the Gruntilda effect. It's so much more interesting here.
I'm gonna look it up on TV tropes to see if the flying castle is a thing. So if you hear some typing, that would be my mechanical keyboard. It's loud as fuck. That's how I like it.
Like, another thing I like is how at the beginning of the game here, Bowser and his assistant here, Kami Koopa.
Ominous floating castle. And it shows a picture of this game's floating castle.
Well, there we go.
Some villains have their own country, and with the desolate volcanic wasteland around their tower that the heroes must battle their way through. Others, however, have bigger plans, entire solar systems maybe, alternate universe perhaps. And right in the middle of this place is a floating castle of doom, overlooking, well, pretty much nothing. And then, that's great. That's great. Literally, the picture of this game's floating castle.
Yep. I like how
apparently there's also a page for floating castle as opposed to ominous floating castle.
Yeah, for the floating castles that aren't quite ominous enough.
Yeah, they're just floating castles. They're not the ominous type.
I like how at the
tropes.
beginning of the game, Bowser's just sort of like, oh yeah, I beat Mario, like, I'm on top of the world, he can't touch me anymore. But as the game progresses, like, he gradually gets more and more frustrated and starts to think, well, shit, he might actually beat me again. I like that about this game.
Oh, okay. So here's a few examples of ominous floating castles in video games. Castle Black and Smithy's Factory in the Mario RPGs. So that's Super Paper Mario and Mario RPG.
Yeah.
They mentioned the Palace of Twilight and Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I suppose that counts.
They say that there's a in Metroid Prime Hunters, there's an ominous floating castle.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you actually played?
I've played it.
Metroid Prime
I've
Hunters?
never finished it because it sucks. Like it's that bad. I can't finish it.
I mean, I've heard that. I certainly heard that. Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yo,
The
yeah,
castle
definitely.
that never was. Apparently, in Xenoblade, there's something. I haven't played that game, and I'm not sure you have either. So
I own it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
And the KGB floating war factory in the third Jack and Daxter game. What do you think, Michael? What do you think?
About what?
What do you think about Jack and Daxter 3?
I haven't played it yet. I liked Jack 2, so I'll probably like that
You
game.
like Jack too.
Yeah.
I remember when you hated Jack.
Yeah.
The good old
Things
Jack.
change, my friend.
Things change.
Then we're gonna
Wait,
go
hold on.
visit Luigi real
that's
quick.
a specific subsection. In a void of nothingness. Then there's other subsections are outer space with nothing for miles, a floating evil castle in the clouds, and then you got video games like that. In outer space with nothing for miles, you got Bowser's Castle and Reactor from Super Mario Galaxy, and the generator from Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
They say the High Charity from Halo 2. That's kind of interesting. Some mentions of Mass Effect 2, which I haven't played in forever, so I wouldn't remember.
Isn't there a part in Halo 2 where like one of the prophets gets eaten by a flood or something like that, and then the prophet of truth is just like, leave him.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I haven't played Halo 2 in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm only really familiar with Halo 3.
What about ODST and Reach?
I played ODST and Reach, but both the stories are pretty forgettable. I will say the one really memorable part about Reach is like, spoiler alert for all of our fans who are watching this Paper Mario playthrough for Halo Reach, which was released years ago. Basically you're the last survivor of your group and you like shoot down like, I don't know, a fucking ship at the flood or some Halo shit. But there's this sort of like epilogue part where you like, it's sort of like a survival sequence where you just fight and try to survive as long as you can, for like waves and waves, and then like more like elites and like harder enemies show up. Then there's a fucking awesome badass cutscene where like you're like surrounded by elites and you get like you're like fighting back. It's really fucking cool. It's definitely by far the coolest part of the game. But otherwise that game is very forgettable and kind of lame.
Oh.
Even though there was all that hype surrounding it.
Yeah, because it was the last Bungie Halo game, don't you know? Before Microsoft basically stole the IP, like the bourgeois they are.
Those dirty bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
I will see to it their downfall. Okay, hold on. Now we gotta move on to a floating evil castle in the clouds. This is important. This is important that we talk about giant floating castles.
What?
Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, Creepy Castle.
DK Rat. Yep, Creepy Castle. Apparently in the Legend of Dragoon, there's something like that. I've heard of that. And there's just a section that says Square likes this trope. The black omen in a Chrono Trigger Sky Dragon Isles Terror Tower, Dinopolis, whatever you want to call it, in Chrono Cross. Tiamat's floating tower in Final Fantasy. I remember that. A bunch of other Final Fantasy games.
Eric, what about Cloud Runner Fortress from Star Fox Adventures?
Listen, hold on. I'm not done yet. I'm still looking. Apparently, like, half of the Final Fantasies have some sort of tower thing. Bowser's Castles in Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And Dream Team.
And Paper Jam.
Oh, they also talk about Yoshi's Island DS.
Oh, yeah. He did have a flying castle in that game. Spoiler alert.
Tales of the... spoiler alert. Or spoiler alert. Tales of the Abyss? That's something. Warcraft and World of Warcraft have floating castle. Warrior Land Shake It!
There's a level called Airy Tail Castle, but it's not the final level in the game.
I don't know. There's still some for me to go through, but I don't know if we want to talk about...
No, Eric, go ahead and read every trope example on a TV Tropes page for this Let's Play.
I'm skipping through most of them. It's just the interesting ones. Yeah. Ocarina of Time, Hyrule Castle. He sort of...
It's not a floating castle. Well, it is, but it's not like a floating castle. It just sort of floats over a lava pit.
Technically a floating castle.
Listen to you.
It says Majora's Mask.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, I know. I agree. It's talking about the moon being the...
Yeah.
Since it's like the final dungeon and stuff. Spoiler alert. Oh! Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg.
Oh, yeah, the Giant Palace.
Yep, the Giant Palace.
Speaking of which, Eric, we got to play that game on the show someday.
My mom, our mom just texted me.
Thanks for the update
about the Hitler thing.
What did she say?
She said, "Are you trying to give your communications prof a heart attack? First evolution and now Hitler."
She is so...
Listen,
oh my goodness. That is so our mom.
My teacher's face. Anyway, there's like no... it's too long a story to go into, but apparently BioShock Infinite has something like that. Your floating castle in the clouds.
Basically what the Star Spirits are telling us right now is basically sort of corroborating what I was saying earlier, is that like basically Bowser's been making these wishes that Peach would like him and that he could defeat Mario, and these guys in the Star Rod, they're basically the force of nature that grants wishes and dreams in the world, and they ignored Bowser because he was selfish. His desires were selfish, and when Bowser found that out, he basically tried to get revenge, and like I said, rig the system, steal the wish granting power for himself and use it the way he wanted, and he got what he wanted. And it's kind of interesting. Bowser basically wins at the beginning of the game, but Mario gradually, sort of turns that around. But here are like the Peach interludes I was talking about earlier. I know there are some people who don't like them because they'd rather just play the game the whole time, but I feel like they add a lot to the story, because like in most games, like even Paper Jam, basically Princess Peach does nothing the whole time and waits for Mario to rescue him. But in this game, in Thousand Year Door, and especially in Super Paper Mario, Peach actually does something. Like, she actually tries to help Mario from her place of captivity, and actually tries to stop Bowser, and that's interesting. It's also nice.
It's so interesting. I almost paid attention to what you said.
Eric, you're a poop brain.
I'm trying to push your buttons. One of these days here when we're recording, I want to drive you over to the edge. What would you say is the time you've been the most mad at me when we did Game Mavericks stuff? I'm sorry, ZBros Play, the worst named Let's Play channel of all time.
I feel like there was a part, like episode like 30 or something of 28 of Star Fox Adventures, where it's just like you pissed me off so much that I like almost grabbed you, or something like that.
Are you talking about the one that I said was like my new favorite one? Okay, yeah, and I mean, I talked about how like you grabbed for me like that guy from the Scooby-Doo intro. Because I was just constantly with the memes and the banarness, and you were like so pissed off with that puzzle. That was quite the adventure.
Indeed.
Stairfax Adventures. The Furries Strike Back. What a high quality game.
Yeah, it's so high quality.
Have you heard any arguments for that game being better than a mediocre Zelda clone? Really?
All I hear is you dislike this game because you just hate it because it's not a rail shooter. Even though I explicitly said at the beginning of the playthrough that was not the reason I hate the game. I hate it because it sucks.
I want to hear a counter argument. I want to hear somebody say, "Hey, this game is not. This game has its values, its merits."
The only, like, I don't scour the internet for everyone's reviews or anything, but the only high-profile review of that game I've seen is from JonTron, and his argument was basically...
Yeah, his argument was like fucking... That was more of a joke video than anything. Yeah. That wasn't really a review.
It was basically, this is nothing like Star Fox 64, so I don't like it.
Everybody should go watch that video if you haven't. It's JonTron Stairfax Temperatures.
And it's like... For the most part, I do feel like people just sort of take it for granted that the game is bad. But again, I think we articulated some pretty good reasons why it's not a very good game in our playthrough. So, I don't know.
Do you plan on reviewing it someday?
Yes. And I can probably condense a lot of what we said there and make a... Because, like, there was a little... Like, especially in Cloud Runner Fortress, where I was just, like, being very unreasonable and just sort of hating it for the sake of hating it, you know?
I tried to express it as best as I could in the description of that one episode, but the episode where you were really not looking forward to with the pterodactyl, the shooter part. Cause that like literally had you like throwing controllers and being that one like angry German kid from that viral video hitting the keyboard off the table and punching his monitor the first time you played through, but then the second time you did it no problem, and then like after you did it you were like silent for a few minutes. Like you were just like really quiet because you're like, but my whole world, everything I knew, it's been turned inside out. It was, and then your response after that was sort of like you went through the stage of denial and you were like very super highly critical of everything happening in the game for like a little bit, and it felt like it wasn't really until the
Eric,
end
by the way,
like,
guess what badge I'm buying and equipping immediately.
What a waste of star pieces. You're gonna fucking annoy our audience with that nonsense?
It only cost one star piece, and guess what, Eric? I'm finding and equipping every single SFX badge in the game.
Wow, what a fucking waste of time.
I mean, like, they don't cost BP. The only reason I'm doing it is...
Yeah, but they're fucking annoying.
Exactly. That's why I'm putting them in, so that when Eric's editing these videos, he gets to listen to the sounds effects over and over again.
And so does our audience.
It's a risk I'm willing to take.
All 16 of those wonderful people exposed to your horrible sound effects. What are this? Okay, I can't, like, because I'm not really listening to the audio of the game right now, because I've seen it a billion fucking times anyway. But there's like a rattling, and there's like a and there's what are the S effects? It's fucking annoying. And Michael loves them because it pisses me off.
Yeah. And I guess there's like some of them you have to go through some mildly annoying side quests to get, and I'm keeping all of it in, baby.
What was the thing where you're like, oh, you're cutting this out, right? And I was like, nah.
I feel like we've done that a lot.
Yeah, so every single playthrough we've done.
Yeah, it's just like all that.
There was a lot of Super Mario World parts where I was like, don't cut this out. And it was just me.
Michael, you're keeping all
map.
of this in. and then after a while, I just said like, fuck it. I don't want to watch this while I'm editing, so I'm gonna cut a bunch of shit out.
It takes. Doesn't it take more work to like cut it out to cut it out coherently than it is to
It takes less time.
It takes less time. I guess so.
Looks like I got a message from... Yeah, I better tell this guy that I'm busy. I have some YouTube friends that like to include me in Skype calls all the time. It's just like I'm always busy doing something. And like last week when I was recording a bunch of Paper Mario footage, go figure, they called me like 6 times and there were like 50 people on the call. I'm just like, I'm busy. You guys should have figured out when I didn't answer the 3rd time that I was probably not going to answer the 4th, 5th, and 6th times.
You're famous now, Michael.
Yeah, I have 10k subscribers, which is like
10k subscribers. You should see Michael. He's been I haven't seen Michael without a blunt in his mouth for like 16 years
you
now.
know, I have so many subscribers now that I have one of those God, what's his name? I have one of those giant money pits like Scrooge McDuck, and I swim in it with like a fucking swim cap and everything.
You jump from the you jump from the 2nd story of your opulent mansion into your giant money pile.
Yeah, and then once I get out of that money pool, like
have you seen Treasure Planet? It looks like the end of Treasure Planet when they're with all the gold.
Yeah, we're getting our animated entertainment for children reference out of the way early in this playthrough.
People don't like that movie very much.
I don't understand why, because I think it's great. It's just like,
I think it's
bad because it doesn't look like 17th century England and whatnot. It's just like that makes it unique. There are a million film adaptations. Well, probably not a million, but many film adaptations of Treasure Island that are just 17th century sailing. Like the fucking Muppets have that.
It's like a reimagining, and it's like,
yeah.
All right, I can understand some criticism, but to like hate that movie, it's like a pretty alright movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and it could just be, I mean, part of that is like I watched that as a kid a lot, so keep that in mind. Okay, hold on a minute.
Yep. So that, I guess we'll just see you guys next time, because
right now there's black.
Yeah, because the part's done, or the session's done.
South wouldn't like that.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna have to continue our discussion of Treasure Planet in the next part. We'll see you guys then.
And Jimmy Neutron. Let's talk about more Jimmy Neutron.
Indeed.
Michael says. All right, see you later, fuckers.